popular one. I'm so excited to have Dr. Fryberg here because her work, before I met her, her work informed me as a journalist to write about this issue. And the other thing I'm excited about is this is the first time that she's seen the product. So I want to get your quick review of it and then also explain what people don't understand that you explain so well in the film, and that's the psychological impact that this has, particularly on Native youth and what that means for them going forward.
Great. Well, first, thank you for letting me be here today, and also for repping my hometown, my people in Tulalip. So first off, what I loved about the film is so often I think this issue of the mascot gets taken out of context. It's about sports. And really, I think what the film did so well is put it into the larger cultural context. And it really pushes back against what I think I have seen in my career as being the key issue, and that is this idea of minimizing the effect of the mascot. When you look across the psychological literature and you look at what predicts educational outcomes, what predicts physical, mental, psychological health, what predicts, how people respond to racism and discrimination, it always comes back to identity. And so, when Dan Snyder said Native people have more important things to contend with than the mascot, he literally couldn't have been more wrong. Because at the heart of every one of these issues is the use of Native mascots. Because it's about the use of our identity. And when you can't protect a group's identity, we are, by nature, social beings. So yes, we are taught who we are. We're taught at home, we're taught to know and value who we are as Indigenous people. But the reality is we negotiate that identity when we leave home, when we go out in the world. And a big part of who we are is also about what people will allow us to be. And we push back and we fight, but people put up roadblocks. And I think so much about my children and what it means for my children. How hard should they have to fight to get a high school degree? How hard should they have to fight to get a college degree? They shouldn't. But when mascots like this limit us in these very powerful, narrow ways, it's exactly what it does. It shapes what other people see as possible for our children, for our community, for our future. And so that's not the battle that we should wage, right? The battle we should wage is this is who we are. And we should be allowed to say that and not always have to say it in opposition to someone else's idea of us. And so, overwhelmingly, the literature, really over the past couple decades has increased significantly. From our original studies showing the effects on self-esteem, community worth, academic achievement, it has gone on to so much more. Adverse effects on depression, suicide ideation, anxiety, stress. It is so extreme, but again, it is because it's not just a mascot. It is who we are. And really, we talk about this honor. I literally could not hate that word more. I feel like I can't take if one more person says, we're honoring you, because there's not one piece of evidence that that's true. So if we move beyond the effects on individual Native people, what we see is that it increases discrimination against us. It increases the likelihood that people see us as not agentic, that they dehumanize us, that they will minimize our experiences. And that in itself, again, speaks to the fact that we don't get to decide who we are, right? We negotiate it. All people do. White people negotiate too. This is just what it means to be a human being, is that we have to negotiate the representations of our group that are out there. And it is quintessentially this idea of of whether or not people see us as Native and what it means to them. What does a Native look like? What does a Native person act like? What do they sound like? And so, you know, I think so much, so I enjoyed very much, even hearing Amy talk about my research in the film was fun. But yeah, I think this is really powerful because it takes it one step further and really putting it into that cultural context and to understanding that, you know, people, if we think in the big picture, we have data coming out in our lab that we're doing right now that we've replicated with non-natives, showing that the exact same underlying issues that affect people's view of the mascot affect their view of whether we should have sovereignty rights, affect people's apathy towards murdered missing Indigenous women and girls. There is a bigger fight out there. And so it's nice that we're making progress here. We have to keep fighting. It is absolutely essential that we continue to force the world to see us as who we are, not how they want to see us.